In a laundry list, I think, Mark, you said it earlier this week or at some point that they're a reality television show, and eventually you got to say, you got to question the director. I'm not sure if the Pittsburgh Steelers want a reality television show where every week there's a new controversy from players criticizing Le'Veon Bell publicly to Le'Veon Bell's Twitter feed to Antonio Brown Facebook Live in the locker room to threatening a reporter over social media. Some of this is going to take a toll on Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys said reality show because the reality is, the real about Mike Tomlin is he's doing an amazing job at what he can control, which is going out there, coaching his team, and winning ball games. Don't forget.
Tied the Browns last week, but go ahead.
Don't forget, though, last year, all the turmoil, the Facebook controversy after the game and filming Tomlin in a post-game speech and the anthem divided the locker room. They won 13 games. Don't forget that Tomlin, of all...
Oh, you think they were satisfied in Pittsburgh?
I didn't say that. I'm comparing them to his contemporaries.
Right.
And of all active coaches, he's only second to Bill Belichick in win percentage.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin's never had a losing team, never as a head coach. Bill Belichick had 5. So my point is, if you look at Mike Tomlin, you got to separate the signal from the noise. And trust me, the signal is this man is doing an amazing job of coaching these guys.
See, I'm on a different page than you because, yeah, they've won a lot of games, but I would argue over the last 6 years they're the most talented team in football, and they can't get into the playoffs and win consistently in the playoffs. They're that talented. And as far as doing a fantastic job of managing this team, like I thought the whole Antonio Brown, I'm not going to pay attention to the social media stuff, that's the wrong message to send. Part of your contract when you sign it is to act like an adult. And that deals with the media. It's part of the contract that all of us sign is you have to act, you have to cooperate with the media. It's part of what sells this game. And you can't just say, I'm not worried about it and I'm not going to pay attention to the social media aspect of that when one of your players is threatening one of your reporters. Like that, you cannot do that.
Right.
That is completely inappropriate.
Jacksonville had that issue this offseason, obviously, with Jalen Ramsey and the guys, and in the preseason. They made the suspension. Obviously, it was preseason. Feels like a slap on the wrist. They addressed it. But here's the thing. How are we grading Mike Tomlin? Because if we're grading him based on distractions, then what happened in New England last year? And how would you grade Bill Belichick and what was going on there? They still went to the Super Bowl, but that was a team that was supposed to implode. Everyone was shooting at them and saying it was eroding from the inside. Trainers getting kicked off, team playing everything. How are we grading him?
Let's say that the grade is based on if me and you did a 100-yard dash and I ran a 15 flat and you ran an 11.5, people might still say, man, that's pretty good for Whitlock. He's 50. He's fat as hell. That's pretty good.
Right.
And so, so what I'm saying about Mike Tomlin is, and what Mark is saying is like, he's Usain Bolt. He's in the Pittsburgh organization with all the tools. And we don't want silver medals. We want Usain Bolt to run through the finish line, get the gold. He's supposed to be an all-time great. That's my thing with Mike. I like Mike Tomlin. Again, I'll still even defend him on the social media thing. I don't think this was the right example with the Antonio Brown deal, but I like his overall message. I think Mike Tomlin is a very good coach. I think he can be an elite and all-time great, and that's where my disappointment is. Early in his college career was a controversial draft pick. Lamar Jackson, because is he a receiver, is he a quarterback? That controversy, 2 guys that had performed well at the college level, came to the NFL with some controversy. I think Mixon has more upside. I think that, and I'll say this, you love to play the star game in terms of Joe Mixon was a 5-star guy for a reason coming out of high school, the #1 running back coming out of high school. Lamar Jackson was a 3-star guy. Joe Mixon, without the baggage of what he did in Oklahoma, could have been one of the first 2 or 3 picks in the draft. I think he has the most upside.
You're giving us a talent conversation to talk about. Okay, so you want to go 5 stars, and maybe if you look at Lamar Jackson, he's a later bloomer than a Mixon is. But who won the Heisman again? Stars to the side. Who won the Heisman again?
Lamar Jackson.
And then who actually returned the next year and had a better performance but didn't win the Heisman just because his team lost games? The same Lamar Jackson. So I'm going with Lamar Jackson. We're talking potential. You're talking talent. If you're talking potential, not kinetic energy, not what happened in week 1. I'm talking about body of work, watching Lamar Jackson dominate the collegiate level. And then he gets to the pro level, and in his first game, just in impact, just in presence, just in fear of a defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills sitting there saying, I have to game plan for this dude. 47 points by Baltimore. He lines up all over the field. No, he wasn't always the guy that got the ball and moved the chains, but his presence had an effect.
Presence of Joe Flacco, Michael Crabtree, Willie Snead.
They got it done.
The people that actually got in the end zone.
Right.
I get it. And come on, Marcellus, we know this about a lot of things you do in college don't translate to the NFL.
Yeah.
And so Joe Mixon, from the time he was 10 years old, he ran like a pro running back. There's some Eric Dickerson in him. This dude is a beast. You could see it at 10 years old, like, that's an NFL running back. When you watch Lamar Jackson in college, high school, whatever, you're like, that's a great college quarterback potentially. It's very sketchy whether he's a great NFL quarterback. And so that's when I'm talking about NFL upside, and I know we've devalued the running back position.
Yeah.
But having a guy that A.J. Green, which I think he's right, he could be a Gurley, he could be a Le'Veon Bell. That's a lot of upside.
Man, you got to stay on the cutting edge of football. You know all these things happen fast. I get it. You old school, fedora. You keep it in one ring in the ear. I get it. Next level is what Lamar Jackson is. Mike Vick plus. Mike Vick 2.0, more accurate than Mike Vick at the collegiate level, and as fast, if not faster. This dude is blurry. Coaches always say, run the tape. And if someone's blurry on that field, that's the guy that we have to watch out for. Speed kills. That narrative, that montage, that has not left the game. So when I'm looking at Lamar Jackson, his upside, no one else at the quarterback position possesses those qualities. Think about it. Who else has that kind of arm strength? Accurate, mid-50s, high 50s. I don't want to go there, but he has to learn that position. Once he learns that position with that skill set, sky's the limit. Joe Mixon's being compared to other greats, but there could be something greater in Lamar Jackson.
Let's go a tad bit deeper. Let's get a little closer to the ball.
Turn it.
And so, Marcellus, as I sit here as a journalist, and so a lot of times I remove my personal opinions out of the argument because I'm just journalistic. I'm just going to be journalistic.
How you going to do that? You're just completely objective right now.
I try to be. That's the standard as a
journalist. Do or
journalist.
do not. There is no try, but I'm listening.
Right. And so what I'm saying is that I get it, and as a fan, as a sports fan, my first love affair in football was James Harris, the black quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams years ago. That's what captured my attention. And sitting in Indianapolis, I was a Rams fan. I've been rooting for the black quarterback since 1970, whatever. And I sit there and think like, man, one day we're gonna have the athletic quarterback is gonna take over football, and it's gonna be a run. I don't think
Aaron Rodgers is not athletic.
It's still played from the pocket. It's a pocket game. Aaron Rodgers is great. Tom Brady is better, and the guys that can play from the pocket, not risk injury, because again, when they're paying you $150 million. They don't want you hurt. They don't want you out of that pocket. It's still a game about mastering the game from the pocket, and that's where I get it. Am I rooting for Lamar Jackson? Yes. As a journalist, do I step back and say, the way this game is played from the pocket. It's a hard battle for a guy who solved a lot of problems with his legs more than his arms going all the way.